that's how you install a rear main seal on a 3.8 liter for a Jeep. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the flywheel. We'll get it bolted up. I'm gonna get some Loctite for the flywheel bolts. Alright guys, I'm gonna give you a quick little comparison of these two clutch setups here. I did get this off eBay. It's supposed to be a stage 2 racing clutch. We'll see about that. One of the biggest things I see differently is on the pressure plate. See how far the springs stick up compared to that one. So it might be a lot stiffer, nothing too noticeably different on the back. You can see this one is pretty, it's got some grooves in it, some looks like hot spots, hard spots, whatever you want to call them. Definitely been hot. So that's about the only comparison with those differently, as the little fingers. Okay, now for the clutch disc itself. As you can see, I didn't really need a clutch, but mine was making noises. Imagine this throwout bearing. It would go away when I pressed the clutch in. So I just went ahead and bought a whole kit while I was out. Might as well go ahead and do it. This is the old one. It's got 4 big springs. Springs inside of springs. This one has 6 little springs. There's also springs inside of those. In my opinion, that one looks better. This one might be a little more grippier, maybe different material. But we'll find out, I guess. It does say HD on the description, by the way. Most time that means heavy duty or high definition if you're watching TV. Here's the back sides of the clutch disc. So this one sticks up a little more. This one's flush. Okay, this whole thing sticks up more. So that's that. Then the flywheel. I don't see anything too differently with it. But again, this says HD, so it should be heavy duty. The old one, you can see it's got one hell of a groove bore in it. Then it's also got the discoloration. So it definitely ain't hurting it to replace it. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this heavy thing up on there. I'll try and find a light one, but I don't know if they just don't offer one or I wasn't finding it. But it's alright. I don't expect it to be a race car. Alright, what I'm gonna do, since this thing weighs 300 pounds, is I'm gonna go ahead and start a bolt in it, get it all lined up, then I'll go through putting Loctite on all the other bolts, and I'll get back to the original one. It's gonna be fun on a swinging engine, let me tell you. So before you get through struggling putting the flywheel up, make sure you don't forget to put this plate on. I'm glad I just caught it. Alright, looks like it only goes in one way. There's 2 holes for the guide pins, and of course it's not going to stay. I'm gonna get 2 zip ties real quick so it's not in my way for the flywheel. That's real cute. The holes don't line up. still don't look perfectly lined up, so I'm gonna try to start them all. I'll do, I'll just take out one bolt at a time. Put Loctite on it. Okay, I got them all started. I had to turn it one more time, and then I tightened one of them up, and the bottom one wasn't lined up, so I had to loosen one up, and there's still some wiggle room. So make sure you get them all started before you tighten them up, and then you should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove one at a time and put some Loctite on them. Alright, they all have Loctite on them, and they're tied with my impact gun. Now I'm going to go ahead and look up the torque specs, and we'll get them torqued. Flywheel bolts to go to the crankshaft are 60 foot-pounds. This is probably going to be terrible on a engine hoist. And the engine's turning over. This is going to be great. Then we're going to start a bell housing bolt. Throw it in a good ways. Then I'm going to put a pry bar on it and hold the flywheel. Well, might want to do it the right way. Probably be a lot easier if there was somebody to help. Alright, what I think I'm going to do is drop it down on the floor a little bit so it's not swaying back and forth. It might help a lot. Alright, got all those torqued. That worked out pretty good. Wasn't the easiest, but I managed. Now I'm gonna go ahead and raise the engine back up so I'm not working on the floor. Then we'll install the pilot bearing. Alright, so I got the pilot bearing here. Hopefully it goes in pretty good. I'm gonna put a little bit of lube on the outside of it. So I got some kind of grease on it, or in it at least. We'll smear it around on the inside of the flywheel. Probably a good idea to do this when I was out. Alright, got that put in. That was not very fun. Make sure if you get a new flywheel, you do that on the bench. That was kind of a pain. Alright, so next thing we're gonna do is, these come with packing oil on them, so that's why they don't rust and all that. So get you some brake cleaner, spray it down. Make sure you get it all off. That is very important so you don't saturate your clutch disc with the packing oil. Some spots you might have to rub a little bit. Looks pretty good to me. We'll go ahead and do the pressure plate too because it's got the same oil on it. So I'm just gonna set it on the floor and spray her down. Alright, so if you're looking at your clutch disc, you can see this side sticks up, and this side don't. So the side that sticks up higher goes out towards your pressure plate. So what we're going to do is go ahead and use our alignment tool here. So I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but the alignment tool, the purpose of it is to line up the clutch disc perfectly. So this right here represents your transmission, how it slides into your clutch disc here. And when you get your pressure plate on there, the clutch disc just floats. So you can have it all the way down here and you'll never get your engine put back in or transmission. So always make sure you line it. Some clutches do not come with this. So the best thing to do is get you a broomstick or something. That's pretty close to this diameter. So this way you can get it lined up. Alright guys, the problem I'm having right now is these guide pins here ain't lining up with nothing. If I get this one started in a hole, it does not line up at all with any of these holes. As you see, there's multiple holes all the way down through here, and they don't line up. So my other option is to turn it where I don't use the guide pins. I'm scared these pins are going to fall out possibly. So I'm going to go ahead and get a pair of vice grips, see if I can get those out. And if so, then I'll just pull them all out. Alright, they do come out, so I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. I don't think they would come out, but I'm not taking any chances. Guess that's what you get for ordering off eBay. That one was not fun. Alright, let's try this one more time. All the bolts in, now I'm going to take one out at a time. Alright, so this does vary upon your engine size, but this is a 2007 3.6 liter, and mine gets torqued at 24 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and try to hold it still again. Might have to drop it back down. So the goal here is make sure your alignment tool slides in and out really easy. So mine does. If it does, then that means your transmission should slide into it pretty easy. If it don't, if it binds up real hard, you gotta beat it in. Go ahead and loosen your pressure plate back up and kind of wiggle it around a little bit and tighten it back up. So I think that pretty much wraps up the engine portion of it for now, until I get it in. Alright, next thing we're going to do is go ahead and clean up these frame rails a little bit better and spray some undercoating on it. I might spray some primer first, just to maybe prevent rust or stop the rust. I doubt it's going to do anything. Normally when rust starts, there ain't no fixing it unless you cut it out. But should be able to slow it down. So that's the main goal here. So I'm going to go ahead and gather some stuff up, and then I'm going to hop in here and get to work. So here's the two main tools I'm going to be using. A needle scaler to chip away the rust. I should get majority of it off. Then a wire brush on a drill just to help clean it up a little bit better. The only things I'm have a tight fit still. The main things I'm worried about is the inside of the frame rails where I can't get with the engine in it. So I might go ahead and do the tops of the frame rails too. Then the places where the engine mounts bolt. And I might as well go and put a throwout bearing in. I'm gonna say that's the noise. Alright, I'll worry about that tomorrow. So I'm gonna try to set you guys up and do a little time lapse. I don't know how well it's gonna turn out, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so I got everything cleaned up and sprayed. I tried recording most of it, but it's kind of a pain. So as you can see, the top of the rails are done. All I could reach anyway, from the inside. Then whenever I go do all the steering and suspension stuff, I'm going to do the front of it, the outer side and the bottom part of the frame. I'll work my way back. But I figured it was a good time to do the inside while the engine was out. I did spray over top the brake lines because I wasn't going to chance breaking them, unsnapping them. First thing I did was clean up the rust. Then I sprayed paint and primer. This one is satin black. I sprayed it all over it. I figured primer would help help seal it off. Then I sprayed some undercoating. I imagine I didn't do a perfect job, but it should slow it down. No, it looked terrible. It's all just kind of some surface rust, some flaky stuff. We have some pretty bad winters up here, so the salt kind of gets to the vehicles. But I'll show you what it looks like in the morning when it dries.